Chapter 19. Circe's Despair. Deep within the ocean, tucked away in Ursula's garden of lost souls, Circe felt herself becoming shining and brilliant like the dazzling golden lights that surrounded her. It was a curious sensation, as if she had never known what it was to feel alive until that moment. Ursula had taken her soul and left her empty shell to wither with the other victims in the sea witch's garden. Circe had never contemplated what that would be like to lose her soul, and she couldn't have imagined what a deep, penetrating sense of emptiness it would bring, as if nothing but sadness and loneliness remained. But even that didn't adequately describe how it felt. She supposed it was similar to powerful grief, that wretched emptiness and feeling of despair and helplessness, as if being swallowed by a deep blackened pit that you were unable to crawl out of. She wondered if that was how the beast had felt when the curse took away his humanity. And heat rose to her cheeks as shame washed over her. Of course, her sisters would say that he brought it on himself, that she had given him a chance. And that was true, but it hurt her heart to think she had ever managed to cause such pain to another, even if he had deserved it. As she and her other victims rose out of Ursula's garden, freed, she saw the ghastly remains of her captor scattered on the ocean floor, and knew her sisters were probably nearby. She swam with a mermaid's tail and cringed when she saw large portions of Ursula's severed tentacles, feeling an intense guilt for the part she had to play in Ursula's death. She didn't understand why Ursula had betrayed her, and though she was no longer trapped within Ursula's garden of lost souls, the empty, terrible feeling lingered within her. She just wanted to know why. She had always liked Ursula. She had always been her friend. She would never know why Ursula had betrayed her. Or would she? There, glistening on the besmirched and murky ocean floor, lying among Ursula's remains, was a golden seashell necklace. Circe snatched it in her little hand and made a desperate wish. She was instantly assaulted by a rage she'd never before experienced. The weight of it was impossible to contain. She felt as if it would consume her. No, that wasn't right. It felt like something was growing inside her, something too large and too vile for her to contain. She felt as if it would burst and nothing but hate would remain. It was unbearable, this pain, this anguish. But the hate and the rage, that was the worst of it. It was like a terrible sickness that wrapped itself around her heart, distorting her mind and filling it with horrific images. Circe's head was filled with visions she didn't understand. Terrible, frightful scenes of a man being slaughtered, pulled literally to pieces by an angry mob, trying to keep it away from a young girl. And images of the same young girl standing on a cliff, crying, her heart filled with fear and loathing. The pictures kept flashing one to the other in rapid succession. Circe didn't know what they meant, but she could feel the memories as if they were her own, because she felt herself to be something entirely new, entirely different, alien. In that moment, she had come to possess the psyche of the sea witch. She was Ursula. She was Leviathan, her body swelling not only with rage, but with strength and girth. She had the power to command the sea, and she did so at her pleasure. That power was too much for any witch to bear, even Ursula, and it frightened Circe. She fought not only against herself, but against an enormous hate being directed at her. She couldn't comprehend who had the power to direct such hatred, who had the power to use her magic against her. Her mind whirled at the maelstrom of hate that flooded her. She had grown to immeasurable proportions, and felt she was impenetrable. Her hate had betrayed her. Circe saw into the sea witch's heart. She was foul. She was ugly. She was monstrous and loathsome. She was everything her brother said of her, everything the dark fairy foresaw. And the sea witch had known she deserved that end. She had known in the moment before she died. She had betrayed the odd sisters, her dear friends, for this power and for revenge. A power that was destroying her, a power she couldn't control. She had no will of her own. The seething hate had taken possession of her. It was its own creature, and she had no will to command it. She had been dead before Eric took her life. Circe pealed a frightful scream so loud and so terrible she thought the force of it would rip her throat.